Hey, people. Welcome to the One Day Closer podcast. I am your humble host, Jay. Oh, you gotta love the special effects. Hey, let's add this one because it's a little early in the morning. Usually I record later in the day, but wasn't quite sure we were going to do one before this weekend with the event coming up in Birmingham, because I was hoping to kind of give a good report on that. We'll save that for the next episode. So welcome. Episode 8, Season 2. And I think after this one, we're going to take a little break. So this will probably be the end of Season 2. And I'm going to take probably about a month or so off. And when we come back, Christy will share her story. So Season 3 starts off with a running start there probably, or shortly thereafter. And also in Season 3 is when we're going to have other people sharing their stories of faith and overcoming the things that a lot of times we think are impossible, right, to overcome. But I'm telling you, man, faith will do wonders for you. So with that, again, welcome. So much has happened, and I know it's been a few extra weeks, or at least a couple extra weeks, that we're overdue for an episode here, and sorry about that, but life definitely happens in between all of that, and life has been really good. So a couple of things I just wanted to recap and share. Of course, I talked about my baptism back earlier in August, and I would tell you a profound change on my life. Definitely an impact, and I could go in a whole episode just on that. And something else I also was doing at that time was fasting. It was a church-wide fast, first time I'd ever done anything like that. And just the Bible tells us and instructs us to fast, to draw closer to God. And I'll tell you, it worked out that way for me. I definitely no expert on fasting, and definitely won't be sitting here quoting Bible scriptures in regards to it. But I can tell you something happened there for me. So very, very happy with that. And we'll be doing it again because it, like I said, the changes in my life are just dramatic. So I wanted to share that. Something else, of course, we know the event up in Birmingham at the Homewood Park that I've been talking about for the GBS International Foundation is this weekend. So I'll be leaving to go to Birmingham tomorrow. I'm recording this on Thursday the 5th. I'm excited. We have a great amount of people already registered. Wonderful sponsors. UAB has come on board, the neuro department. We have several pharmaceutical companies out and some local businesses that have contributed, stuff for the silent auction and all. So wonderful event is coming. I know it will be successful. God looks like he's blessing us with some good weather for Saturday. And to be honest, I'll be glad to get the little cooler temperatures. So very excited about that. And again, for those that don't know, this will be this Saturday. So that is September 7th, 9 o'clock at Homewood Park there in the Birmingham area. Beautiful park. Wonderful area of the city there in Homewood. And it's the walk and roll. You can find information on the GBS International Foundation website. My Facebook page has some links to it. If you still want to donate, there's plenty of time for that. If you can make it out, even better, and please come say hi. I'm one of the co-chairs for the event, so I'll be easy to find. One other thing I wanted to invite, if you're in this area, if you're in South Alabama or the Florida Panhandle, I will be doing a Thursday night small group through church. You don't have to be a church member to join the groups. And I'll be discussing, of course, my story and my testimony. But the class, our small group, will be in regards to healing, right? And how Jesus will heal us. And I'm a living testimony to that, right? So that'll be on Thursday nights, 7 o'clock. You can go to Coastal Church.tv, I believe is their website, but Coastal Church. Search the small groups, or you can message me, and I can help you navigate that. There's no cost. You don't have to be a church member, and we're going to meet here at my house. It is limited to 15 this go around, so I know I have a couple open spots. Please jump in if you would like to come join. So it'll be some fellowship. Again, sharing a little more in depth of my testimony and learning what the Bible has to say about faith and healing, because I have no doubt that has done so much for me. So with that, we'll go ahead and start rolling. We'll get a little bit back into the story. And like I said, this episode, I will probably go ahead and end season 2 on this episode. And but looking forward to the changes for season 3, and having some people share their stories. So amazing. I know what God has done in my life, but to continually see and hear stories of what He's doing in others, I can't help but want to share that, and y'all will understand as y'all get to know some of these people that will be joining us. So with that, we'll go call it New Year's 2022, right? Happy New Year's to me back then. I was still in physical therapy 2 to 3 days a week. Would take my wheelchair up to the hospital and do my therapy, and then head home. But one of the one of the funniest things, I don't think I've shared this before, but and I couldn't wait to learn how to drive again. And really just, obviously for more mobility, and we had my wheelchair van, so I had that available. But I didn't have the ability to, with my hand strength, wrist strength, and arm strength, to steer. I mean, that's the reality of it, right? But never let my stubbornness get in the way. And as the year drew to an end and into the new year, I had Christy take me out to a parking lot where I would try to see if I could drive, make some basic turns and all that good stuff. And oh my gosh, it worked, So like, hey, I could do this. And of course, empty parking lot, you don't have to worry about hitting nothing, maybe an occasional light pole. I had a great idea that after that little test run, and I think we did 2 test runs, that I'm going to go ahead and drive, the whole 6 blocks from our apartment to my occupational therapy appointment one morning. And, you got to love it, right? All good, but I get in, hey, the van's push button start. Now, you'd have to picture this. I'm wearing a brace that goes from my hand all the way up to like just before my elbow. So the whole forearm, wrist, everything's supported, very rigid. And my fingers, at this point still wasn't working much. So, can kind of hook the steering wheel with my thumbs, right? And so you're probably saying, why was this guy even driving? And then sometimes I ask myself that question. But I'm driving to the hospital, to Spain for outpatient, and everything's going good except that's a one straight shot, right? It's like straight shot, one left turn, and down the street and pull in the parking lot. And I remember taking that left turn. It was a green light, so now I'm doing like 20, 25 miles an hour, whatever the speed limit is through there. It's not much, but waiting from a standstill, having to turn the steering wheel kind of quick, so it got my attention real quick. That maybe we're not quite ready for this. We'll get down the street, pull into the parking lot at Spain, which is its own mess, and I'm sure with the new hospital they're building, that they'll improve the parking situation hopefully there. But I turn in. It's going good, right? It's not perfect, but I'm stubborn, and I'm gonna push through it. I'm not gonna give up. And I pull around and I go to park, And then all that practicing me and Christy did in that parking lot, it's a lot different when there's cars on both sides of that parking space that you're trying to pull into. And my gosh, you heard of like a 3-point turn or something. I must have did like a 10-point turn to get this thing in this parking spot. And it was enough that I was almost just gonna go home and park the van and come back in my wheelchair because I'm thinking I can't do it. We're gonna have to try this another day. But I did it. It was a point of humor, point of being scared, the fear. But it felt so good to regain that independence. And it also taught me that I had to do some more work before we could drive again. And I did. I kept working with it, kept practicing. So the more I was driving, well, of course, eventually we're going to need gas in the van. Sounds pretty simple, right? I'm going to pull up. Hey, I'm driving better now. So I pull up to the pump. So that's Chevron right there. I want to say it's on 12th or 13th. Right there by UAB. And I get out, pop the fuel thing. And I go to unscrew the cap, and I'm not even strong enough to unscrew the gas cap. Okay. I'm working. Of course, I still have my arm braces that I described earlier. So these things are going from the hands all the way up to the elbow. And I get the cap off, muscling it, right? Ultimately with two hands and a lot of praying and a lot of grunting, maybe even a scream. But I'm happy. I got it. So then I go to put the credit card in, and I don't have touch to pay, which would have come in really handy back then. But hindsight's 2020. I stick the credit card in the machine, and you got to stick it all the way in the slot so it can read the chip. And I'm able to kind of use two hands, use one finger as a pointer, and kind of help steer the other hand. And I'm so happy, right? I put my pin in, and it says remove your card, and I couldn't remove the card. It was the funniest and saddest thing all at the same time. So, I had no ability, right? Like no pinchers, right? No, there's no thumb finger thing working for me. And I'm trying to use two fingers. I don't even have enough strength to put two fingers together and pull this card out. And I'm standing there and just, kind of disbelief, right? It's kind of a blow to the ego that, I thought I was doing so good. And then something like that remind me how far I was hoping to still go, right? And then we've been blessed to go past that. So my pride kicks in. I don't ask for help, which I probably should have just asked the person at the lane next to me, hey, can you pull this card out? It must have took me 5 minutes to get the card out the machine. Of course, the sale had canceled, so I had to reinsert it and do it all over again. And luckily, I had kind of come up with a game plan, to get it out. So it allowed me to do it the next time when I was able to get the card out in like a little over a minute or something. So it didn't cancel out on me. So no problem now. All we gotta do is pump the gas. And I go to the nozzle, and I'm not even strong enough to squeeze the nozzle. I mean, like, what was I thinking, right? And wow. So what I ended up doing was taking the gas cap and kind of forcing it between the handle of the nozzle and the frame, and that got the gas to turn on and start pumping. It was kind of slow, but at least I got it. Must have took me 30 minutes to fill up that day. Total with struggling with the car, struggling with the with with the cap and the handle and all that good stuff. But really, right? What's life about without a few challenges? I will say I felt a sense of accomplishment after that and a sense of progress. And then the flip side of that coin was it had me so down because it's just those kind of things that remind you, how bad things were, and they still were. And like I said, this is January of 2022, so a year after I initially got sick. So upside is, hey, we can fill up nicely these days. So it shows you never give up, right? Never surrender. So one of the things at that time, I was working on at rehab was, more on the hands. The legs were doing so much better. I still had my leg braces on up until late into the year, but was able to go without them for the most part. So definitely by the first of the year and into that, we were trying to go as much as we could without them. I probably should have kept them on a little bit longer, but the legs were getting stronger. And I was getting closer and closer to kind of graduating from that program where they, give you their blessing and say, okay, you're strong enough in the legs that you don't need to come and work out with us. So I was excited about that. I was looking forward. And the hands, of course, the hands and the arms, that's where it all started. And that's where it was still the worst. Still is actually to this day. My hands have more damage than my lower legs. And, it makes for some interesting times. But like I said, I'm so blessed that I've come so far. But one thing during that time, early of 2022, when they're telling me, okay, hey, you're getting to a point where, we feel your legs are functioning good enough, you won't have to come. And I knew I was making progress with the hands, even though obviously it was a lot slower. But I started thinking about coming back home to South Alabama, right back to Daphne. Not that I wasn't enjoying an apartment in the medical district of Birmingham, having to have trains rattle the apartment all day. And my wife was working at night, so I'd be sitting home alone, just staring at the walls. So, hey, no reason to want to come back home and be closer to family. But that's when I started thinking long and hard about it, like we could do it. So as 2022 was progressing, January and into February, I think it was February, I had a talk with my physician, my main neuro doctor. And I told her, or I asked her if it would be okay if we moved back to Daphne. I knew I could get my infusions and my chemo down here, fortunately. And then we did double check on that. And then the other thing was, if I no longer needed organized physical therapy and I could work out on my own, then by golly, I don't want to do that. So kept pushing it through occupational therapy. Again, that's the arms and the hands. February comes and we wind down on the legs, and I graduate from my physical therapy part, which was such a thrill and also scary though, right? Kind of like, hey, you're on your own now. And with occupational therapy, Deanna, again, one of my angels, but we were making such good progress. So even though we had so far to go, she was equipping me with the knowledge and the skills to continue to work on my own. So come March of 22, right about the middle of the month, packed up. My brother Sean came, and me, Christy, and Sean moved that apartment down to an apartment in Daphne. Because if you remember, we had sold our other house, which in hindsight, you know, say was probably not the best thing, but at the time it was the best decision we could make at the time with the information we had. So back to Daphne, but back into an apartment. And one of the things that happened once I got home, which was really not what I expected, but actually I went into like a deep, deep depression. So I was no longer going to any type of organized outpatient physical rehabilitation. Nothing for the hands, nothing for the arms, nothing for the legs. Fortunately, our apartment complex had a small gym, and I would go work out in there, but my dedication to a fixed schedule was not there, and actually just kind of slipped into a really dark place, man, mentally. Ended up putting on about 30 pounds of weight, which was making everything worse. And, you know, I wanted to come home so bad. And then once I got back down here, and it didn't, I guess, I don't know, I would say it didn't do what I was hoping it would. Ultimately, it has, as time has gone by, definitely has made the difference. But I sunk into that deep depression. And, through this illness, of course, the doctors, they love to give you antidepressants, and I was no different. When I first got sick, they went ahead and put me on like the highest dose of Wellbutrin, I believe is, couldn't tell you the generic, but the name brand, and it's an antidepressant. And it worked. It worked because I'm telling you, like I said, if I could have killed myself at the beginning, I would have. The weird, cruel joke was I couldn't use my hands or my arms or to do anything about it. But through the deepest and the darkest depression, over the next, so that was, early 22. My God, man, at least a year, some dark, dark times for me. I became just real reclusive. So, I moved home so I could be closer to friends and family, but then I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't go see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody, and I didn't want to see anybody. My anxiety was high. My illness, was just as, in a sense, bad as ever, even though I was making progress physically. But even that progress kind of plateaued. Still required a wheelchair to go most anywheres, except for short walks. And, I just had to remind myself that I had to lean on my faith again and give it to God, right, man? Let Jesus be my burden bearer. And he did take that from me. Now, with that being said, I also want to share some things. And this is recent. This would be in the last really couple of months. No longer require any medicine for depression. Was able to wean myself off of it. And I'll be honest with you, I've never felt better. None of the things that used to cause me to sink into those deep depressions, those things don't affect me anymore. Or at least not in that way. And I trust in God, right? I trust in Jesus to lead the path. I realize there is a purpose for all of this. I still don't know what that full purpose is, but I know sharing my story is a big part of it. And wow, I just I'll follow where I believe I'm being led. And I thank y'all all for listening and taking this journey with me. And I know so many people out there are suffering with depression. So I wanted to also remind there's the suicide hotline. All you got to do is dial 988. So again, it's a suicide hotline, 988. You can call or text. That's manned 24 hours. Somebody will answer that. That's the National Suicide Hotline. So you can, their website is 988lifeline.org. And that's the website for the National Suicide Hotline. And I just want, if you're listening to this and you're suffering from depression, hopefully at the best it's just mild. If it's severe depression like I suffered through, but I want you to know you're not alone. There are people to help. There's help available. All you have to do is reach out and get that help. Trust me, there's so much to live for. Take it from somebody that was ready to give up a couple of times. And I thank God that I didn't. I thank God that He didn't let me. So, with that, we'll start winding down. Just remember, man, you are loved and you are somebody. The world needs you. Do not give up. Never, never give up. Never doubt your value. Don't let a relationship define you. Don't let your job or lack thereof define you. There is hope, and there is life after depression. So, remember, always have faith and trust Jesus. He'll be your burden bearer. Let Him carry it. And remember, live your spirit.